social media to keep up with the latest news, it should never be done while operating a motor vehicle. April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Police departments in Atlantic County are participating in the You Drive, You Text, You Pay campaign, cracking down on distracted drivers with zero tolerance. A distraction occurs every time you take your eyes off the road, your hands off the wheel, and your mind off of driving safely. Let's all work together to ensure in healthy behaviors and put every symptom of the pandemic behind us.
With all the sports we have, every time of the year is the best time of the year.
And the crowd just buzzing with excitement.
On 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Tuesday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. I am Josh Hennig hanging out with you here in the Matt Black Kia Studios. Sixers don't play until Saturday, but the NBA playoffs technically begin tonight. The play-in tournament is tonight, tomorrow night, and then Friday. Of course, you can hear some of the games right here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll talk more Sixers and NBA with Kevin McCormick, Sixers beat writer for Clutch Points, coming up at 6:20 tonight. We'll ask Kevin his perspective on the Sixers Raptors matchup, Doc Rivers' future, and more. As always, we can hear from you guys as well. Text board is open at 609-403-0973 is the text board. You can also get DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Phillies found a way to win last night very unexpectedly. I think you got to give the team a lot of credit for surviving a very difficult first few innings. They found a way to win last night, which is a huge sign to me for this team. So we got Sixers, we got Phillies, touch on some NBA as well here throughout the hour on 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget, you have another chance to qualify for the Pick Your Trip contest. George from Galloway, he just qualified for the Pick Your Trip contest just a few minutes ago. You can be caller number 7 at 609-573-3776. Call number 7 at 6:55. Say when you hear the sounder, you know it's time to qualify for Pick Your Trip here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget, the Eagles Draft Party and Pick Your Trip is being brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. Do Philly Sports Trips with the pros. Plan your trip at phillysportstrips.com. Also brought to you by Ernest Son's Old Fashioned Butcher Shop in Brigantine. And, of course, the Sports Back Mike Gill will be broadcasting live Thursday, April 28th at Slack Tide Brewing Company on Route 83 over there in Dennis Township. Of course, if you would have read my article about the breweries in GameNight County, you would have known something about Slack Tide Brewing maybe you didn't know before. You can check out that article right now at 973ESPN.com, the 973 ESPN mobile app. All right. Let's get to the Phillies first, because we got a lot of Sixers up talking with Kevin McCormick and NBA with him. But, last night's game really reminded me of the things I like and dislike about sports in a big market like Philadelphia. I'm not going to say sports in Philadelphia because I'm not some Neanderthal who thinks that only the fans in Philadelphia act a certain way, okay? It's like Pete Thompson mentioned to Mike Gill earlier on the Sports Bash. Look, you have a situation where New York fans, they can be very vocal. There's a long history of Boston fans being very inappropriate, yelling from the fans in the stands. We know that a city like Chicago is very passionate about their fans and their teams. There's a long history of passionate baseball fans in St. Louis. I keep going on a list, but so I'm not going to sit here and single out Philadelphia fans because I'm not that guy. But I got to be honest with you guys. last night was one of the strangest things I've ever observed in Philadelphia sports. Alec Boehm deserved to be booed. Did he deserve to have the fake mocking cheer of him making a play? No, of course not. But I don't think that it was necessary. I don't think that Boehm reacted to it well. I think Boehm handled it excellently afterward, owning up to it, saying, hey, I did do this. Hey, I did say this. And I think that it is very interesting to observe how the next couple months play out for this young man, because Alec Boehm was supposed to be this high-level player at this level. I don't think it's a coincidence that Alec Boehm is not the only player from his draft who has had problems. I think that any of these guys who got to the big leagues in the last couple of years because of the lockouts and the pandemic and the lack of time in spring training, the lack of time in the minors, and the lack of just general structure, I think it's hurt a lot of guys. Because I think that you're in a sports world where I think we forget that there's a method to the madness. There's a reason why these guys have to go through the process that they go through. And I'm not making excuses for Boehm. I'm not saying he's horrible or he's great. That's not my intention here at all. My intention here is I think Boehm has mishandled the situation. I think Philadelphia sports fans showcased themselves in a very interesting manner last night, but I'm not going to sit here and act like Boehm he's the worst player from his draft, kind of thing. Because the number one overall pick in the draft was this young man named Casey Mize. Now, Mize is with the Tigers. Frankly, he has not been a great player. He had a good year in 2021, but not a great year. The year before, he was a mess. And it's hard to tell after but only one start this year, he kind of imploded. So, and when it comes to pitchers, for those who've listened to me long enough, know I'm a big believer in your strikeout to inning ratio. I believe that if you're getting a minimum of a strikeout per inning, it's a sign that what you are bringing to the table is of a high enough quality. Casey Mize last year at 118 strikeouts in 150 in the third innings. That's a horrible ratio to me. I have a lot of concerns about this young man as a pitcher at the big league level. Okay. The guy who was picked ahead of Alec Boehm, Joey Bart, for the Giants, he's been okay. He himself has not been very productive. He's only had 116 major league at bats, and 103 of them were in 2020, his rookie year during the lockout. And that year, he only batted .233. Now, since then, he hasn't basically played at all at this level. So, really, the only guy so far from this draft who you could point to, like, that guy's been really good, is Jonathan India. That's it. It doesn't mean that all these guys are bums. It doesn't mean that all these guys are bad. But I think some context might be helpful to say that you have all these young players who came to the big leagues under the most bizarre of circumstances. Why should we be surprised they're struggling? Again, lockout year. There was no spring training. There was no minor leagues. None of that stuff. So am I supposed to be, Alec Boehm stinks? No, I'm not doing that. I do think the team has done him a disservice of putting him at the major league level. I think he should be in the minor leagues, getting at-bats, getting reps, getting actual time, playing time on the field. I don't think it's doing him any good. I don't think it's doing the Phillies any good for him to be the major league level. I think that the Phillies have made a mistake on that front. I think that the fact that Boehm has played more at the major league level than he has at the minor league level at this point, I think it's a problem. Because unless you are a super, super, super player. I just don't think that every time a guy goes from college and gets drafted, we should just rush him to the major leagues as soon as possible. Bohm had 2 years basically in the minor leagues. He gets thrust in 2020 because they want him at the major league level, and he played fine considering the environment of the pandemic. He played well. But then the next year he struggled. And he played 115 games at major league level that year. Just 15 in the minors. I would have started him at the minor league level this year, given him a chance to just find himself again. But this is a side effect of everybody wants their cake and eat it too. Put the mac and cheese in the microwave, put it on for 1 or 2 minutes. Boom, I got my dinner. I just think that it is a very bizarre situation that is not going to get better anytime soon. So I think Bohm handled it the best he could. And I think that moving forward, I'm curious to see how the Phillies and he handle this. Because at the end of the day, the fans aren't the problem. The problem is, what do you do next? We're going to find out. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Of course, we are live at the Matt Black Kia Studios. Text board is open as always at 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show for the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Before we get to Kevin McCormick, to dig deeper into Sixers in the NBA, I did want to state that. So I have not seen anywhere that Doc Rivers apologized or amended his comments from Sunday when he spoke to the media today. I told you guys yesterday that I thought Doc needed to come out and be upfront with the media the next time he spoke to him and say, look, I overstepped. I shouldn't have said what I said. And he didn't do that, it appears. And I think what a texter said yesterday on the text board, I think it's starting to become more apparent to me. Maybe Doc does have one foot out the door. You know, maybe Doc just doesn't care at a level that is disturbing, frankly. I think that Doc Rivers not apologizing, not coming out and saying, hey, I said this, I shouldn't have said this, let's move on, is a problem. I'm telling you guys right now, Doc Rivers will be run out of this town faster than Ben Simmons if he doesn't get to the conference finals. And this first round series is not going to be easy. I gave you guys my prediction yesterday, and I'm going to stick with it. I've heard nothing. I've seen nothing that tells me otherwise. I think this is a 7-game series with Toronto. I know Shaq went on Inside the NBA and said the Sixers are going to sweep Toronto, and he'd be shocked if it goes 5 games. I think Shaq is... I don't know what his problem is. It's almost like he's wanting to make a hot take or something, but I don't agree with him one bit. I think that this is going to be a war that the Sixers are just not built very well for. The 76ers have a matchup problem. And until somebody tells me otherwise, I think they win the series. But I think this series is going to wear them out. And it's going to cause a problem for whoever they face the next round, which we at least assume is the Miami Heat. But of course, If the Miami Heat end up with the Brooklyn Nets, for example, who knows who you face in the next round? Well, that's more about all this. Is Kevin McCormick here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Don't forget, we are going to give you another chance at 40 minutes from now to qualify for Pick Your Trip for the Eagles draft party Thursday, April 28th at Slack Tie Brewing Company on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
Oh, big save by Carter Hart.
The Flyers are in D.C. to face the Capitals. Tonight, coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN and listen live on the free mobile app.
Powerball is now at $302 million. Stop searching for four-leaf clovers and take a chance on Powerball today. With a jackpot win, you could have the power to do it all. Anything can happen in Jersey.
Easter, the season for pink grass and chocolate bunnies. But Walgreens knows it's also the jelly beans taste like what season, or how many baskets is too many season. Let Walgreens fill your baskets fast with pickup in as little as 30 minutes and delivery in as little as 1 hour. Because if it's who hides an egg there season, it's Walgreens season.
This week, select varieties of Easter jelly bean candy bags are 2 for $6. Offer valid through April 17th with My Walgreens. Restrictions apply on offer and pickup and delivery. See Walgreens.com for details.
Carrie, can you make sure Ada's cleaned up?
Restaurant Week has Sanjay's tables
Can
jam-packed.
somebody please refill the...
He needs more servers to keep these new customers coming back.
Let's keep these tables turning as fast as possible, okay? Gonna need to hustle.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
At Ocean First Bank, our first thought is you. We put you first in all we do. Community banking for a century. We treat you like your family. Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
When it comes to our customers, convenience matters. That's why we offer top-rated digital banking services with just that in mind. From online account opening to contactless payment options to mobile check deposit, right from your phone.
Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K. How convenient.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Spilled your milkshake? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading Ordinary brand. So you can get back to your milkshake.
Celebrate spring at Banana Republic Factory with 50 to 70% off everything. Discover vibrant dresses, modern suits, and more from $24.99. Find your nearest store or shop online. Only at Banana Republic Factory.
With basketball season in full swing and UFC every weekend, it's time for you to experience sports betting done right at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Atlantic City Casino and Resort. Get in on all the games you love at the FanDuel Sportsbook located right off the Atlantic City Boardwalk. The retail sportsbook features 5 betting windows, a large video wall, 20 self-service betting kiosks, and much more. Get your game face on and score big when you bet with FanDuel Sportsbook only at Bally's Atlantic City Casino and Resort. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Sixers versus Raptors game 1 this Saturday. You can hear all the action. Tom and get us on the call, 6 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN FM. NBA playoffs start with the play-in games tonight, tomorrow, and Friday. Playoffs in full swing this weekend. To get in all of that, Sixers, Raptors, Doc Rivers, and more, Kevin McCormick joins us right now. Sixers beat writer with Clutch Points joins us to talk more about this Sixers team, which, Kevin, I said yesterday and I said it again today, I think this is going to be a rock fight. I think this is not going to be an easy series at all. And I think the Sixers better be careful, because if they don't win this series, you think the Sixers fans booed Alec Boehm yesterday? It's going to be a whole other animal with this.
Yeah, the Raptors weren't necessarily one of like my quote unquote top teams in the Eastern Conference, but they're definitely in that realm of teams that are just going to be a very tough out. And I agree that there's definitely some matchup issues and things to look at, but this is still a pretty winnable series for the Sixers. I still think they have the top two guys in the series in Joel Embiid and James Harden. I agree. It's definitely going to be ugly, especially with a guy like Nick Nurse, who is, I think, one of the best when it comes to the chess match that is NBA playoff basketball, and just how different their lineup is and the different ways that they can kind of play and shapeshift is definitely going to cause multiple concerns for the Sixers, let alone not having Matisse Thybulle in road games as well.
To me, the Thybulle thing, I'm not as worried about, because no offense to Thybulle, but he's a little too small for Siakam and he's a little too big for Fred VanVleet. So you kind of lose a little something, even if he is on the floor. Frankly, if Doc was smart, he would just run a zone defense and just dare the Raptors to just shoot from 35 feet. But that's just me. But Doc won't do that, because apparently we're all stupid and he's the smartest man in the room. But the thing with Matisse Thybulle is I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about who's handling Siakam, because I'm sorry, I love Joel, but I don't want to see Joel and Siakam for 35, 40 minutes a night. Tobias, I don't know what happens to him sometimes on defense. I feel like sometimes he forgets to play defense because he goes to rebounding so bad. George Niang, no. Danny Green, no. To me, I think the Sixers just don't have an answer for Siakam in this series.
I wouldn't necessarily say don't have an answer. I for one, I guess I'm one who gives Tobias Harris a little more credit. I feel like I've always been pro Tobias Harris in his time here. And if you look at different situations, since James Harden got here, a lot of people talk about Tobias Harris being the one that's had to adjust the most. And I feel like a lot of people talk about the offensive end, which as they should. But with his offensive role lessening a little bit, we've kind of seen him step up a little bit more on the defensive end. You talk about the rebounding. He's kind of become that nitty-gritty guy. He's trying to do all the little things just to try and put the team in the best position to win. And I think when he's locked in, we've seen him put on, close to above average defensive performances early on in the year. I think he did a fine job against Kevin Durant a couple weeks ago against Chicago on DeMar DeRozan. He did a phenomenal job on him. So while I agree, Siakam's going to be a tough cover. He's, he might be all NBA this year. He's had an incredible run to close the season, definitely trending in upwards heading into the playoffs. But I wouldn't necessarily say totally count out Tobias Harris. And at the end of the day, you have to think about it. When you have Joel Embiid anchoring the defense, it's always going to be like a suitable last line. I'm with you. I don't want Joel being the primary defender on Siakam, but if you're using him as a floater and letting Tobias Harris do his best to stay in front of him with Embiid as the last line of defense, I think you're still in a pretty good shape.
Kevin, is there a matchup that's not Joel Embiid that you look at and say, if the Sixers exploit this, the Raptors are in trouble?
I would have to say just doing your best to attack Fred VanVleet. I mean, just because when you're looking at this Raptors roster, it's pretty much all guys 6'6" with 6'8" wingspans and above. And then you have VanVleet, who sticks out like a sore thumb. So with so many guys like James Harden and Tyrese Maxey, who you can put in the pick and roll and attack mismatches, I think just going at him and forcing him to defend every time down is the answer, because, you wear him down on defense. It takes away the scoring punch that he can have on offense. And like you said, he's someone that could be a wild card on the offensive end as being one of Toronto's top scorers. So if you can wear him down on that end and kind of exploit him to the best of your ability, I think that's the one matchup they should try to zero in on as best they can.
Kevin McCormick, Sixers beat writer, joins us right now here on 97.3 ESPN FM. You catch him over at clutchpoints.com, the Clutch Points app. Follow him on Twitter at KevinMCCNBA. I put it off long enough. We got to get the doc. The head coach spoke to the media again today. I didn't see anywhere where he apologized, rephrased, tried to make amends with the media at all. It seemed like Doc just wanted to act like Sunday didn't happen. Well, Sunday did happen, and it's been the talk of almost everyone on planet Earth for about 36 hours. How concerned are you moving forward that Doc Rivers, in his hubris, has a blind spot to maybe doing what is best to help win on game night?
It's tough to say just because I feel like neither, especially since we'll talk about, Sunday, what he was talking about in the sense of the backup center position. No matter which way you spin it, it's a glaring issue no matter what. DeAndre Jordan, obviously not the guy he once was, has clearly taken a step back. Father time has caught up to him. And then the other option is Paul Reed, who is a second-year player, was one of the last picks in the draft, is an energy guy at best, is really an NBA 4 who's pretty much played 5 his whole career. Could be used as a small ball 5, but like I said, energy guy, like role player at best. So, it's pretty much the lesser of two evils. I think we're going to have to see Paul Reed in the postseason, especially in this Raptors series, just because of, an athleticism aspect of it. And it really could unfold similar to last postseason when someone questioned Doc for not taking Ben off the floor when teams were doing the hack-a-Ben. And then later on in the series, he ended up doing it. So I'd necessarily say it's a blind spot. It could just be, caught him on a bad day, sick of hearing the same kind of question. It's something that's been harped on for weeks now. And, sometimes just emotions get the best of people. Doc could have been having a bad day. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a blind spot, but I could definitely see it unfolding. Like I said before, how we saw last season with Ben.
Look, Alec Boehm had a bad day yesterday, but even Alec Boehm said after the game, yeah, I said what I said. I don't hate Philadelphia. I just had a bad day. Doc Rivers just won't admit any wrongdoing, it seems like, ever.
I wouldn't say that. There have been cases where I've heard in the past where, people have had scuffles with him, and he's more of like a behind the scenes kind of thing. So while it might not have been aired anywhere, Doc might have gone to somebody off the side or related. He typically, when outbursts like this have happened, I've heard from people that he's typically gone later on to try and make amends and kind of conduct himself in a professional way. So it might not have just been done publicly. It could be something that he just prefers to do privately.
Okay, well, maybe so. But I just feel like what he said Sunday was just incredibly unprofessional. He sounded like he was talking down to Derek Bodner, basically being demeaning to the rest of the media. Let me tell you slowly, my coaches watch more film than you. It's just the way he said it. Like, there's a way to say things and there's a way not to say things. And it just, it left everyone with a bad taste in their mouth. And I just feel like, Kevin, if this team doesn't get to the conference finals, Doc is going to be the guy that everyone is gunning for, even though it might not be his fault. It might be Harden having a bad game or two. It might be an injury to maybe, Tobias Harris, let's say, or Maxey has a bad shooting game. Or maybe Joel fouls out. It might not even be Doc's fault why they lose and don't get there, but he's going to be a guy that people are gunning for, and he hasn't done a for lack of a better term, a great job at removing the bullseye off of himself.
I agree, but I feel like it's a target that'll never be able to be removed just because of his previous playoff resumes. Everyone likes to bring up the 3-1 stuff. So I think come the postseason, no matter what, he's likely this time around going to be near the top when it comes to scapegoats, just because I feel like there's already kind of a label on him in terms of his playoff performances in the past. But, unfortunately, I agree. I think that if they do fall short, that he definitely is going to be atop the list of blame, even though, as we know, he's never going to step on the court and do anything with the ball in any game.
I did see Doc today speak pretty harshly about the Lakers firing Vogel. It seems like, based on at least his words, that if he was not here next year, it doesn't sound like to me that he actually wants to go to the Lakers. Like, I remember previously, if I remember correctly, Doc was talking about being, just being retired for a while, not even coaching again. So I get the sense that Doc wouldn't be leaving Philadelphia or fired from Philadelphia for another job. I feel like he would just maybe, maybe go sit on a beach somewhere and just take a nap,
I agree. When it comes to NBA lifers, I think Doc Rivers is about as close to that Pictionary definition as you can get. And I mean, let's be real. Who wants the Lakers job right now? I mean, after the season they just had, yeah, you have LeBron James and he's coming off like this incredible season. But outside of that, what do you have? I mean, Anthony Davis, another injury-riddled season. Everyone was right about the Russell Westbrook fit from the beginning. They have limited cap space because of all the contracts, limited young assets because of, everyone they've shipped away already. Not to mention, look at what just happened with Vogel. Woj tweeted out that he was going to be fired a day before it actually happened, meaning that someone leaked it ahead of time instead of just conducting it in a professional manner. And we've already seen coaches, have a bad reaction to it. Quinn Snyder already said he's lost interest in like the potential of going there because of how things unfolded. And they think they're going to bring in Nick Nurse. Like, Nick Nurse is not going to leave Toronto for that situation. No. I don't, even with LeBron James and kind of the cachet of LA and the Lakers, I don't think that is going to be like a desirable head coaching job when we start ranking the head coaching jobs in the offseason.
And that's part of the reason why I put the tweet out I did last night at Josh Hennig comparing Rivers to Vogel, because people have a lot of stuff to say about basketball coaches in the NBA, right? You and I both see it all the time, especially on social media. But it's like, at some point, we all got to realize that the coach is only as good as the environment he's in. Like, there's only a handful of, Phil Jackson never built a team from scratch, right? He always walked into a good situation. Doc Rivers, he was in Orlando. He didn't have great teams. Didn't get that far. Frank Vogel was in Orlando. Had horrible teams. Didn't do anything. Like, we act like these coaches are changing everything. Like, go through Larry Brown's resume. Larry Brown basically won with Rick Carlisle's team in Detroit. You know what I mean? So, like, we have this idea of things. And like you said, with the Lakers, I look at them and I'm like, you have the owner with Magic in one ear and Kurt Rambis' wife in the other ear. Rob Pelinka, I don't even know why he has a job besides the fact that he was Kobe's agent. And Vogel was supposed to be the guy LeBron wanted. Remember, the whole thing was LeBron didn't want Luke Walton. He hated Luke Walton. He signed off on Frank Vogel. Like, where do you go now? Like, it's amazing to me. The Lakers are like, we're the Lakers. No, you're not. You're not the Lakers anymore. It's like Hal and what's his name, Steinbrenner with the Yankees. No, you're not George Steinbrenner. You're not the original Yankees. Like, you have two iconic organizations in the Lakers and the Yankees. They're not who they used to be.
I agree. People are just caught up in the past. They think that cachet still holds on, that, people are going to be enticed to the Lakers because of how dominant they were in the 80s. It was almost 40 years ago now. Like, that same holding, like, it doesn't hold the same weight. Even with a guy like LeBron James being in LA, he's going to go down as one of the top 2 greatest players of all time. And his head coaching vacancy is not going to be a desirable job, as crazy as that sounds.
And honestly, I can't even blame LeBron for the whole thing. Because like I said, I think the problem is above him. I think that Pelinka as GM has been a dumpster fire. You have an organization that basically, it felt like to me, Kevin, you tell me what you think of this. I felt like the entire Lakers roster was predicated on Anthony Davis being healthy. They didn't build any contingencies into that roster. To me, as soon as Anthony Davis got injured, they had no answer for anything. It was like, well, Carmelo, why don't you play more minutes? But we have Taylor Horton Tucker. And I'm just like, what?
I could agree to that. There definitely is. I think there's some truth to that. And it also comes to, like I said before, just the minimal flexibility they had because of the albatross of Russell Westbrook's contract. That entire roster was pretty much veteran minimum players. And like we said, we saw DeAndre Jordan, Dwight Howard, Trevor Ariza, who, never took the floor, Wayne Ellington. Their only real steal, I guess you could say, was Malik Monk coming in on the minimum. I thought he had a pretty solid season for them, but they're not going to have that kind of luck again this offseason. Someone's going to go pay him now. And all these guys, they're a year older. So even if that was your game plan this season, can't really run it back with that ideology because, one, you have no idea if Anthony Davis can even stay healthy at this point. And two, you can't waste another LeBron year. The guy averaged 30 points a game at 37. You have to do, anything in your power to strike while the iron's hot.
Kevin, I got to ask you about the MVP and Joel Embiid because I noticed something very big today, and that is every player who has been asked in the last 24 hours about who should be MVP, the players say it should be Embiid. But that straw poll from the media was overwhelmingly for Jokic. I'm not saying we need players to be involved in the MVP voting because that would be a disaster. We all know that. But is there something to be said for the fact that such a large number of people in the media are so quick to give it to Jokic, but the players on the opposite end saying, even Durant was saying, you have to give it to Embiid. Like, this is Kevin Durant. Tyrese Halliburton's tweeting that he gives the MVP to Joel Embiid. The players in this league are speaking very loudly on this point, and I'm just curious, is anyone going to hear them?
I mean, the safe answers no. Even when you look at previous players who are now media analysts are also leaning Embiid. Kendrick Perkins has been emphatic about Joel Embiid, and he's even said this is his first year getting a vote, and he's voting for Joel Embiid. I guess I would more be, maybe media members and players see things differently, weigh things differently. And, while someone like me has gotten to watch Joel Embiid with my own eyes all season, someone like Kevin Durant has actually had to play against him. So I think having that more hands-on feel could generate a different opinion, which is why we're seeing players vocally support Joel Embiid winning the MVP this year. But at the end of the day, if you pick one of Embiid, Jokic, or Giannis, I feel like there's really no wrong answer. I've been saying it for about 2 weeks now. I think this is going to go down as one of the closest votes in NBA history, just because there's three guys with really ironclad resumes of who could come away with the MVP.
I will disagree with you on one point. I feel like if Jokic gets it again, it's going to be a problem for the history of the league, because I felt like Jokic won the award last year because he was the only guy who played every game last year. And I feel like Jokic, they're using that, his numbers are better this year than last year. So now it's turning into a numbers thing. To me, if it's a numbers thing, it's not about value anymore. It's about who has the best stats.
Yeah. Not to mention, Giannis has put up better averages this year than his MVP season. So,
but that's why I'm saying, to me, if you gave it to Giannis played half the year without Middleton almost, right? Middleton missed 20-some games?
Brooke
basically.
Lopez didn't play for 5 months.
Right. So, if you want to give it to Giannis, I get that, because him and Embiid are almost in the same boat, But to me, people are going to say out there, Jokic played without Murray. But Jokic was in a lesser conference. The Eastern Conference is, from 1 to 8, ridiculous compared to the West. To me, the Clippers, for example, wouldn't be the playoffs if they were in the East, for example. No offense to Ty Lue, he's done an amazing job. I know Monty Williams got the nod from the coaches for the award, but Ty Lue had an amazing coaching year. Taylor Jenkins, are the Grizzlies the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference? I don't know. So to me, I feel like we're trying to almost make an excuse for Jokic because people don't want to give it to Embiid.
Maybe. The only thing I'll say about the narrative aspect is the narrative aspect in terms of giving the nod to Embiid over Jokic is that, yes, Jokic has had to play without Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. Has had an incredible season, don't get me wrong. Joel Embiid went through the first half of the year without Ben Simmons, which I guess you could put them in a similar boat, but you also need to add on the fact of all the off-court drama and the news and everything that hung over their heads, along with being without an all-star player. So I don't know if there is some secret vendetta against Embiid, but I feel, arguably this year his case is stronger than it was last year. And a majority of last season, people felt he was a front runner as well. I think it just comes down to, I feel like we had this same talk last year, that it really comes down to the V and MVP is what's most important. And I feel like sometimes it does get away from that.
All right, before I let you go, Kevin McCormick from Clutch Points joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. I want to run through these games real quick. You tell me who you think's going to win. Cavs, Nets tonight. Who wins?
Nets.
Hornets at Hawks.
Give me Atlanta.
So then you're going to say the Nets are going to be the 7, which means the Cavs would play Atlanta for the 8 seed. So who's the 8 seed?
If Cleveland is still injury ridden, I would say Atlanta. If, by some greater power that Cleveland can get their big men back in time, I think that they could squeak that out and steal the 8 spot.
So then that would be, in your scenario here, Atlanta versus Miami in the first round. Boy, if you're Boston, you got Durant and Kyrie in the first round. I mean, talk about worst case scenario. You
repeated last year.
Boston, you just cursed the lucky Celtics there, man.
I say, wouldn't that pretty much be I forget what the seeds were last year, but they did play in the first round. I think it was the 3-6 last year, though.
It was 3-6 last year, a little bit different. Western Conference, Clippers versus Timberwolves. Who you got?
Clippers.
Which means the Timberwolves would play again against the winner of San Antonio, New Orleans.
I'll take New Orleans over San Antonio, and then Minnesota beats New Orleans.
So you got both the Clippers and Minnesota getting to the postseason, but you have the Clippers as the 7 seed. In your situation, they would play Memphis, and then Minnesota gets the unwitting task of dealing with the Suns. Although that would probably be a fun series. I probably could see that series going 6.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting, but at the end of the day, for a team like Minnesota with such little playoff experience, not going to be great for them.
I know, but you and I both know there'll be one game that Cat and Anthony Edwards and D. Russ just go out there and they all score 20 plus almost 30 points each, and they'll win that one game. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm excited for playoff Anthony Edwards. I think he has taken a real huge leap this year and is part of why Minnesota finds himself back in the playoff picture. So I agree. I think we could get that game where Anthony Edwards goes crazy.
And we know Cat's going to have a series because Cat's on this mission to prove that he's one of the best players in the league, which listen, whether you like him or not, I love it. I love his attitude. He's walking around, telling people to get off his court, telling people that he's the man. Like, good for Karl Anthony Towns,
It's about time, especially after all the stuff with Jimmy Butler and being labeled as soft. Like, go out there, do your thing. Hey, it might land him all NBA this year, so I mean, credit to him.
When does all NBA come out? Do you know?
I don't know exactly. I think all the voting and stuff should be like 2-3 weeks from now, maybe.
Okay.
I feel like that's when all the awards start to spill out.
I remember, I think it was Windhorst said on his podcast, Brian Windhorst said that the voting had to be in by the last game of the season. So I don't know how long it takes them to accumulate and release all that, but I forget what it was. I can't even use the last 2 years as a marker because of how crazy the world has been.
Yeah.
But, for goodness sake, I'm still getting used to this play-in tournament, and it's like, I still don't understand. It's like, okay, we're going to play Tuesday, Wednesday, then we're going to play Friday, and then you play the next 2 days later. It's like, wait, what? Like you get the rawest deal if you're the play-in team. Like you get the rawest of the rawest of the rawest deal. Like in your scenario, you're the Clippers. Like the Clippers are just sitting back and be like, hey, we already won our game. But if you're Minnesota, it's like, and you're playing Sunday. You played Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and it's against all different teams.
Hey, I kind of like it though. I'm not gonna lie. I am pro play-in tournament. I think it adds a little extra spice before the postseason.
I like it and I don't like it. I don't like it because I feel like it diminishes the regular season a little bit. I like it because I like more basketball. So, that's...
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. He's Kevin McCormick. Follow him on Twitter at Kevin MCC NBA for all your Sixers and NBA coverage. Check out his work over at clutchpoints.com and the Clutch Points app. They're doing this right here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Sixers Raptors Game 1 this Saturday. Kevin will be talking soon.
Thanks, Josh. Take care.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, which is free. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. We'll check in with you guys on the text board at 609-403-0973 is the text board to get on the conversation. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. And don't forget, 10 minutes from now, your final chance today to qualify for the Pick Your Trip contest at the Eagles draft party, which will be hosted at Slack Tie Brewing Company on Route 83 in Dennis Township. The Sports Bash Mike Gill broadcasting live. And of course, Pick Your Trip, where two people, you and a friend, get to go to a Eagles road game of your choice. Coverage of cost for airfare, hotel stay, pregame tailgate, and 2 tickets to the road game, all courtesy of Philly Sports Trips. Do Philly Sports Trips with the pros. Plan your trip at phillysportstrips.com. And it's also brought to you by Ernst & Sons Old Fashioned Butcher Shop in Brantine. Your chance 9 minutes from now for you to be caller number 7. Keep the number handy, 609-573-3776.
It's Sixers playoff basketball this Saturday on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McInnes, calling all the play-by-play action.
Kyrie steals the ball. The Sixers on the move. Harris into the lane. Bam! Right hand slam.
It's Sixers Raptors Game 1. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers playoff basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
With GMF financing, approved credit excludes Corvette. This just in. Right now, Bennett Chevrolet is paying a minimum $8,000 for any trade. That's at least $8,000 for any trade, running or not. Bennett is doing it again. Want $8,000 for that old rotted out rat trap? Just drive it, push it, tow it to Bennett Chevrolet for a minimum $8,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Got a good trade? Well, if we're paying a minimum $8,000 for total junk, imagine how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. Looking for new? There's no beating Bennett, because unlike other dealers, we're not selling over factory sticker. And there's 0% available financing. Plus, if you're stuck in a lease, bring it to Bennett. We can get you out early. Any make, any model. And remember, Bennett will buy yours even if you don't buy ours. Stop in for a quick quote. No pressure or obligation, because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Celebrate spring at Banana Republic Factory with 50 to 70% off everything. Discover vibrant dresses, modern suits, and more from $24.99. Find your nearest store or shop online. Only at Banana Republic Factory.
Dirty exterior? Don't scrub it. Wet it and forget it. Wet and Forget, the easy outdoor cleaner. Wet and Forget works overtime with Mother Nature to eliminate unsightly black and green stains on the exterior of your home with no scrubbing, power washing, or bleach. Use Wet and Forget on all your outdoor surfaces, including decks, siding, roofs, and patios. Wet and Forget is available as a concentrate or extreme reach hose end. Purchase Wet and Forget in-store or online at Lowe's, Menards, Ace, or Walmart.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K, how convenient.
East Coast Roofing and Siding, protecting what you love and own. East Coast Roofing and Siding, trust us with your family and home.
Hey there, South Jersey. This is Sean Steitler with East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Do you have a home project you've been pushing off? Does your house need a facelift? If so, you need to take advantage of our economic relief rebate program. For a limited time, we are offering no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus, when the job is complete, we will send you a rebate check for up to 15% of the cost. No payments until 2023 and money back in your pocket? You can't beat this deal. Call us today to schedule your free consultation. 609-625-1900. That's 609-625-1900. You can also visit our website at eastcoastroofing.com for more information.
East Coast Roofing and Siding. Trust us with your family and home.
Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
O'Reilly. Cleaning your fuel system can make your car run better and improve gas mileage. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts and pick up a bottle of Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner and add it to your tank during your next fill-up. On sale now, buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Stop by and talk to our professional parts people today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Need to get away? Plan a vacation now and create memories to last a lifetime, starting with nonstop flights from Atlantic City International Airport to Boston, Atlanta, San Juan, and Miami. Book your low-cost flight today by visiting Spirit.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
As always, like to hear from you guys out there. You always can join the conversation through the text board at 609-403-0973 is the text board. Also, you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Flyers on the ice tonight. Flyers take on the Caps tonight. Coverage begins in about 8 minutes from now. Tim Saunders, Steve Coates on the call right here in your home for the Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, the Super Bowl, the NBA playoffs, the Masters updates, and more. The NCAA tournament, March Madness. We got it all covered for you here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Texter chimes in and says, Embiid getting to the foul line helps his team being set on the next possession. Also, the opposing team in foul trouble. Embiid gets there way more than Jokic does. It's an excellent point. I've always also brought up that Embiid's a better defensive player than Jokic is. Jokic gives effort on defense, but he's not an intimidator. He's not a game changer on the defensive end. You take Jokic off the floor, you could argue that his backup in Denver is a better defensive player than he is, JaVale McGee. Meanwhile, Embiid taking him off the floor, the Sixers are horrible. So, Embiid's impact on the defensive end is incredible compared to Jokic. Like I told Kevin, listen, Jokic if he wins the award, it's because the analytics people won. The analytics people want to use these numbers and tell us that the eye test is invalid. And I think it's completely ridiculous. Tom from the Village Chimes is just curious, Josh. You think the NBA can or should do something about the playoffs involving Toronto to level the playing field? It's not right during the playoffs that teams should lose their guys for away games just because they don't have the vaccine or booster shots. Should Toronto be forced to play all their playoff games in the States? It's from Tom and the Villas. Tom, here's the problem. The NBA, it's kind of out of their control. This is a Canadian rule. This is not an NBA rule. This is a government of a country rule. So it's not like the NBA wants this to happen. I don't even think the Raptors want it to happen. The organization doesn't want this situation, but the reality is that, as I mentioned yesterday, Canada has some of the most strict rules when it comes to, the booster and the vaccination and the statuses, and you have the first, second, or third, or fourth, or fifth shot. It's just a mess with these shots right now because, look at what happened last year with the baseball playoffs. Baseball playoffs said that if you were cover the playoffs, you had to get Moderna. They didn't want you getting Johnson & Johnson. Like, that's how wacky this stuff has been, where everything is so inconsistent from place to place, from sport to sport. Australia they wouldn't let Jokic in the country because he was considered unvaccinated, but there were other people who got let in who were also not up to date on their vaccination set or didn't get the shots. So they let them in, they let Jokic in. So it's a mess. I don't know if the solution is the NBA making Toronto play in the States only because Tom and the Villas. I think that would create a whole nother set of problems in terms of, how do you rectify financially giving Toronto back the money they lose from the home playoff games, the ticket revenue, the parking, the concessions. There's money that gets lost if you take Toronto home court games away from them. How do you give them back that money? How do you make good that? I mean, it was already bad enough they had to play a bunch of games last season in Tampa. They lost a bunch of revenue in that manner. How does the league justify doing that 2 straight years? I think that's the biggest problem. Money talks in these situations. You know that sounder? Be caller number 7. 609-573-3776 is the call-in line. 609-573-3776. Caller number 7. You have the chance. Pick your trip at Slack Tide Brewing Company on Route 83 in Dennis Township. The Sports Best Mike will be broadcasting live Thursday, April 28th from Slack Tide Brewing, where one lucky listener will win a trip for 2 to the Eagles 2022 road game of their choice. All courtesy of Philly Sports Trips. Do Philly Sports Trips with the pros. Plan your trip at phillysportstrips.com. And also brought to you by Ernest & Sons Old Fashioned Butcher Shop in Brigantine. Caller number 7. You are qualified. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night. Flyers hockey next.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
If you have trouble focusing, especially if you're working from home, there are ways to limit distractions and concentration killers. First, make a daily list of tasks to help you focus. Limit social media. If you need to check in, do it during a break. New posts zap our concentration, forcing us